So good morning. Today I'm gonna try and make this recipe I saw with calamaris, and it's stuffed calamaris, and we stuff it with some breadcrumbs and some. It said pecorino cheese, but I'm gonna use Parmesan cheese, some eggs, and then the secret ingredient is capers. So let's get started. So we're gonna start with the breadcrumbs. We're gonna mix that into the bowl. And we're gonna add the Parmesan cheese, 3 eggs, I'm gonna add some more of the breadcrumbs. I'm gonna just do the 2 eggs first to see how the texture comes out. I want to make enough stuffing in order to fill 7 calamaris. However, they're small, so we'll start with a little bit first and then add as we go along to make sure that it comes out with a nice texture. So we're going to mix all of that and then add the capers once it's all mixed. Alrighty, calamari's added, and so now we're stuffing the calamari with the filling. And there's the stuffing, looks so good. And we don't want to take and fill it up to the rim because then we have to make sure that the calamari gets sealed. And what is so cool about what I saw this Italian lady do is that she uses a needle and thread to thread it closed, which I'll be doing that after I get all of the calamaris filled. And I do believe that I made enough stuffing to get them all done. It's a little tricky because you want to make sure you get it all the way down in there, but you have to be gentle because you don't want the calamari to get for it to break either. It's a delicate fish, so that's what we're doing. So as I continue to stuff these, I have stuffed 6 so far, and yes, I believe that I did make too much stuffing, but that's okay. I can figure out something else to do with this. If you noticed when I was mixing the ingredients, I didn't add any salt. And the reason I didn't add any salt is because, well, the capers are salty, and the Italian style breadcrumbs was seasoned as well already. Plus, the Parmesan cheese has its own saltiness. So I felt that adding extra salt would then be too much saltiness. But again, that's, that was what I wanted to do. Some people like it a little more salty than others, so you'd have to taste it when you do it and decide whether you wanted to add any other salt to it. Plus, then the marinara sauce will have a nice saltiness to it as well, and that's where I'll add some of the herbs and garlic to make the sauce a little bit more savory as well. So just a thought that I wanted to share there. Okay, they are all stuffed. So now we have to close them up. So I've never done this before, so we will see how well. I mean, I have sewn before, so I guess, there's a plus there. So let's, woo, slippery. They are a little slippery. So let's get this going. And here we go. And we're going to sew these shut. Okay. Whoops. Got to make sure you get both sides. So it's coming closed nicely. But it is a bit slippery. So once I close all of these out, I will then get my sauce going so that the calamaris can then get poached in the marinara sauce. We're going to try and make a sauce that's not too runny. Have it with some body. Okay. All right, first one done, and we only have 9 more to go. So I'll snip this and do the rest. Okay, so all 10 of the calamaris are closed up, and I'm gonna put them in the fridge so that they stay nice and cool while I make the marinara sauce. So for the base of my marinara sauce, I'm gonna chop some onions, some carrots, some celery, and some garlic cloves, and I'll saute those in some extra virgin olive oil before we get the tomatoes going. So we got the onions chopped, and now I'm going to chop the celery up. I am not a chef at all, so my chopping skills are not like super great, but I love the way celeries sound when they crunch when you chop them. It's like, oh, it's such a great sound, don't you think? Not too bad. I'll just cut these here like that. I like to cut them, if it's a thick celery, sometimes in 2 or 3, so that it's a little bit fine. Whoop, there goes that garlic again. Again, like I said, people, I am no chef, so you're not gonna see any of those. No. Okay, celery is done, and now let's go over to the carrot, and we'll add that to the chopping block as well. Okay, so we are going to start to do our olive oil first into our pan, and what we're going to do is we're going to add first, we're going to make a sofrito. So I learned that the Italians call this a sofrito, which I'm from Puerto Rico, and we have a completely different meaning as to what sofrito is, but basically it is a base as well, so they have that in common. So I'm going to add the onions, the celery, and the carrots to the olive oil, but we're not going to add the garlic right away. You leave the garlic as a finisher before adding then the wine. So I'm sure you all saw the bottle of wine that was on the counter. Yes, that will be for cooking. However, it's a little difficult to cook without having a glass of wine. How many of you out there do the same? It kind of just goes hand in hand. You're cooking, you sip a little vino, and everything just comes out better. So we got the sofrito going here. Hear it sizzling. See, it looks like that. And we're gonna let this continue to cook until the onions get translucent. And then, once that happens, we'll add the garlic. And a little trick that I learned from Gino De Campo, a chef on TV, shout out to you, is that you don't add any liquid to any of this until you add your wine. You add the wine first so that it absorbs the flavor of the wine in your marinara sauce, And by that time, the alcohol dissolves as it cooks. Okay, time to add the garlic. However, first, I add a little bit of butter because I also found out that if you add a little bit of butter before you add the garlic, it helps the garlic not to burn. So it gives it a little creamy texture. Um, and for those of you that are vegan, although this is not a vegan recipe, but I do have a daughter that's vegan, so I've learned a lot. There are, dairy-free butters that you can use to substitute. Okay, smelling that garlic, that's pretty much all you need to wait for. The minute you smell that garlic, the garlic is telling you that it's ready. So here goes the vino. What a nice sound. And again, like I said, I'm not a chef, so I don't measure. It's all, if it looks right, then it is right. I think that was probably, I don't know, half a cup. Again, but the beauty of cooking is that, or as I have found through all of these months of COVID, is that you have to be brave with your cooking, and it's all to your personal taste and flavor. So maybe a little bit more, and that's good. And that's going to be the base for the marinara sauce. So for my marinara sauce, I like to use whole tomatoes to make the sauce. So what I do is I give the tomatoes a rough chop, and then I add it to the sofrito, and then that will simmer. I start with 5 or 6, depending on what I'm going, how I want the consistency to be. If I want it thick, I'm going to use less. If I want a little bit more liquidy, then I'll use more. But again, it's about gauging as you go along. So it's easier to start with less and add than to start with too much and then you can't subtract. So we're going to be adding this to our sofrito to get the marinara sauce going. Again, just a rough chop. Smells so good. Perfect. So the sauce is cooking nicely. And I want this sauce to be a little bit chunky because I really want it to just attach itself to the calamari and to the spaghetti that is going to be part of the dinner. And we've got the water boiling to get the pasta going. So I've removed the sauce from the stove because I want to just give it a quick blend. Not all of it, just give it a little bit more of a puree feel. So I'm going to do that right now. So just a touch, just a little bit. And see, nice. It's nice and chunky still, and it's got a really good consistency. So now we'll add the calamaris to it. Okay, so we got the calamaris out from the refrigerator, and we're just gonna add them to our pasta. And because the calamari tends to, let go of some liquid, it will make this a little bit looser, but then the sauce will tighten up again. Okay, calamari's added, so let's just stir them in there. And have them poach. Looking good already. And of course we got some of the This calamari legs gotta have some of those tentacles in there. Definitely. Okay. So let's see what it looks like. So let me just take this here. Oh yeah, and nice. It looks really good. The stuffing is nice and cooked. Whoops, this way. And it looks good. You can see the capers. And so we're just gonna cut these into medallions and then plate the pasta and the sauce and put it all together. And okay, and here we are. We've got the pasta and the bread plated. Um, and this looks so good. And it actually tastes really good too. We're just gonna add a little bit more Parmesan cheese on it. Mmm. And now for the taste. Okie dokie. Whoop. Oh, it looks so good. Mmm. Fabuloso. Well, thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed watching it as much as I enjoyed preparing it. Um, Again, I'm not a chef and, not all glammed up because I'm home recuperating from COVID. And during this time, I've discovered that when I'm not rushed, I like to experiment and learn new recipes. And as I see them, I give it a shot. And I've learned that, wow, I really do like to bake and I like to cook and share it with everybody. So, if you liked it, I'm glad. Give it a like and subscribe. Thank you.